Let's go. It's been 71 days since I practiced my speaking skill. Today I'm gonna attempt to talk about the recovery concept for the fifth time. Let's begin. So, everything like our ability to work, to recharge ourselves, to learn new things, the building that we are currently living in, anything, animals, trees, the planets, every kind of industry and machines are affected by a single one of the most important concepts, which is recovery, also known as rejuvenation, repair, healing, and lots of other terms in many different industry, even in games, in biology, and more. That's the definitions of recovery. I'm gonna talk a bit about the types of recovery, how many different types are there, and the properties of recovery. Then I'm gonna elaborate on the why recovery is so impactful in, in our current world. The thing is that recovery are absolutely a necessity for stuff that are irreplaceable or stuff that are really expensive or for things that don't can't be replaced, such as our human bodies. You can look at the concepts for lots of expensive machines, and when people want to repair something, then we gotta consider if replacing that with another thing is cheaper than at the actual repair. Another properties of recovery is like it's inherently tied to the concept of time and maintenance. Everything have a maintenance window when we gotta maintain or recover something after it degrade while interacting with the outer environment. Looking at all the historical building, then for example, a small example of recovery, then every decades or every few years they gotta do some recovery work on them. A simple example of that. So recovery is ever present. And the reason why I say that recovery is tied to the concept of time is that an object needs a certain amount of time to be able to recover, and it's also needs to be recovered after subjecting to a fixed amount of time of years. And if it ends recover, then it's gonna degrade and be destroyed. Recovery is also tied to the knowledge and the technique that we applied to them. And for things that are constantly interacting with the outer environment and things that are moving, and for animals, we humans, then recovery are again a necessity. Recovery cannot be overstated. Sleep itself, sleep itself, like you would see animals and we humans and different kind of animals all gonna have to sleep at some point. Sleep itself is an important and one of the most important phase every day, important phase where we recover every day. Recovery is important in our physical bodies and also in our mental mind. Furthermore, recovery is tremendously important in lots of industry, in agriculture, in in uh how do you say that, industrial field, in in delivery, in transportation, in research development, education. They all have the recovery concepts. I'm gonna focus a bit. I'm gonna talk a bit more detailed on the mental aspect and the physical. So the thing is that our body produce tons of waste when we are awake and when we are active and moving around. If we don't have the ability to recover, then we would suffocate and die because our body constantly emits CO2 in our blood, and we need to have a certain kind of maintenance or recovery mechanism to expel all of those CO2 out of our body. So that's what breathing is for, taking oxygens and let out CO2. That is recover and maintain. Oh, the amount of blood in our body. Oh, I get too driven in and I forgot to talk about the definition of recovery. Uh, I think that I'm still a bit anxious when I talk in front of the camera. So even though I record this video at a pretty early time in the day, I uh, I still kind of forgot what I gotta talk. That's ridiculous. That's funny. Oh, that was so good until I realized I didn't talk about the definition. And I do notice that I kind of squint my eyes when I try to talk something, which is a thing that I should fix. I guess I gotta attempt this, gotta make a sixth video about the recovery concept because I really want to nail this concept. Not because I mean it's still important, but it's also because I want a framework, a kind of structure to be able to apply that to future concepts. In every concept, every kind of topic that I want to talk, of course, I gotta talk about its definition, its relevance, its impact, the importance of it, different kind of types and properties that are really tied to that. And then I gotta elaborate on the types, things, and the impacts that I just state. Gotta give some examples, and usually these three things are long enough for 7 minutes video. But if I want to talk further, then the final one is gonna be how can I use it and how can we possibly take advantage of these concepts? How can we apply these concepts more easily in when we observe and analyze the world around us? Yeah, and how can we actually apply this kind of concepts? So and use that for our benefit. So yeah, I think that's the framework that I want to follow and I want to be efficient in. That's it for day 71. It's kind of funny. I kind of end the video quite abruptly. Thank you for listening. If you ever come to the end of this, thank you for listening. If you ever come to the end of this video,